storm gathers outside. The sound of rain strikes against stone walls, and the room glows with the dim flicker of candlelight. A single long table waits in the center, silent, heavy with mystery. A voice rises low and steady, speaking to hearts and not just ears. One table. One final night. One choice that will change eternity. The camera drifts into a room filled with shadows. The audience never sees faces, only outlines, silhouettes carved by the trembling glow of candles. The long table stretches across the room, simple wood worn from time, yet it feels like more than just furniture. It is a stage, a battlefield, a throne, a place where destiny itself will unfold. Every plate, every cup, every piece of bread seems alive with meaning, waiting for what is about to come. The soundscape grows richer, the soft hum of whispers, the scrape of a chair, the faint crackle of the candle flame. This is not a feast of joy. This is the calm before the storm. A figure moves at the head of the table, calm, steady, purposeful. The audience sees only the shape, the outline of his hands as they hover over the bread. His shadow falls across the table, stretching long, commanding attention. The silence of the room is broken by his voice. Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me. The words cut through the stillness, heavier than thunder outside. For a moment, time itself seems to pause. The camera lingers on the disciples. Never revealing faces, only the subtle tension in their bodies. A hand grips the edge of the table tighter. Another trembles slightly over a cup of wine. Shoulders shift, breaths quicken, whispers rise and then fade as suspicion and fear ripple through the room. The audience does not need to see their faces. The weight of betrayal is painted in their movements. In the atmosphere itself, the music begins to build, low strings drawing the heart into suspense. Shadows flicker as the storm outside rages louder. The disciples lean toward one another, whispering, "Who is it? Who among us would do such a thing?" Their voices overlap, uncertain, frightened, desperate to know the truth. The tension is no longer just in the room. It crawls into the mind of the viewer, demanding answers. The leader's voice speaks again, steady, calm, unshaken by the storm or the whispers around him. "The one who shares this bread with me." His hand reaches for the loaf, breaks it, and holds it with quiet authority. The sound of the bread tearing echoes louder than it should, as if heaven and earth are listening. The pieces fall into his hand, and the candlelight glows brighter for a moment, as though the act itself carries eternal weight. The screen cuts to black for a breath, and in the darkness, the sound of a heartbeat emerges. Slow, steady, then quicker. The audience is left suspended between suspicion and revelation, between loyalty and betrayal. The table is no longer just wood and stone, it has become the altar of destiny, where choices will seal the fate of history. The rain outside grows heavier, each drop striking like the beat of a drum. Inside the room, silence clings to the air, but beneath it something stirs. It is not the sound of thunder, nor the shifting of chairs. It is the unspoken tension that creeps like smoke, wrapping around the hearts of those seated at the table. The voice of their teacher still lingers, "One of you will betray me," and now the words take on a life of their own. Echoing in every corner, whispering in every mind, the camera drifts across the table. A hand trembles, pulling closer to the body. A cup shakes ever so slightly, wine trembling at the brim. A shadow leans forward, head bowed, the outline of doubt pressing heavy on the chest. The disciples do not accuse aloud, but their movements speak louder than any words. Every gesture is a question, every breath a silent plea. Is it me? Is it you? Suspicion does not need a voice. It is already here among them, thick as the storm outside. The music changes. Strings tightening like a noose, each note sharp, each sound dragging the audience deeper into unease. The camera finds the bread once more, lying in pieces, broken, but not yet given. It is no longer just bread. It is the sign of unity and yet the signal of betrayal. A shadowed figure reaches out, hesitates, and pulls back. Fingers curling into the palm as though holding back a secret too heavy to release. The leader's hand moves again, calm, deliberate, almost tender. He lifts the bread slowly, as though time itself bends to his pace. His voice is soft but piercing. The one who dips with me is the one. The words fall like stones into a still lake, rippling through the minds of all who listen. No face is shown, only the shifting of bodies, the sharp intake of breath, the clench of fists hidden beneath the table. The weight of the truth presses harder. Yet the betrayer remains unseen, faceless. Cloaked in the same shadow as the rest, lightning flashes through the window, flooding the room for a heartbeat with harsh white light. For an instant, the table is revealed in stark detail. Bread torn, wine poured, hands tense, hearts unsettled. Then darkness returns, deeper than before, leaving only the faint glow of the candles. The storm outside is no longer distant. It has moved closer, pounding at the door, as though demanding entry. The disciples murmur in overlapping voices, a storm within the storm. Questions rise, collide, and break apart. It cannot be me. I would never. Who would dare? Who among us could do this? Their words spill out in desperation, but none find comfort in the answers. Every whisper feeds the fire of uncertainty, and every glance at the table feels like a silent accusation. The room has become a prison, the table, a trial, and the bread itself, the evidence. The teacher looks across the table, not with anger, but with sorrow. His shadow leans forward, hands resting on the wood as though bearing the weight of the world. His silence now speaks louder than his words had moments before. In that silence, the betrayer's heart quickens, and the audience feels it to an invisible pull, a choice already made, a destiny already sealed. The screen darkens again, and the faint sound of coins striking stone rings in the distance. One by one, the echoes fade, leaving only the sound of the storm. The storm outside crashes like a warning, but the greater storm brews inside. The air at the table is no longer heavy, it is suffocating. Candles shiver as though they too sense what is coming. The long wooden table is not only a place of gathering, it has become a mirror of their hearts. Unity is cracking, trust is splintering, and though no face is revealed, the weight of fear shows in every trembling shadow. The camera shifts to the window, rain racing down the glass like tears. Thunder rolls in the distance, echoing the unease inside. A hand slams against the table, not in anger, but in desperation. The sound echoes, sharp and hollow, like a gavel delivering judgment. A whisper breaks the silence. "Lord, is it I?" Another voice follows, uncertain, trembling. Surely not me. Their words overlap, voices blending with the storm. Until suspicion itself becomes deafening, the leader's presence remains steady. His silhouette does not falter, even as the room trembles with questions. His hand lifts the cup of wine, the crimson liquid glowing in the dim light. It catches the flicker of the candle, a reflection of blood and promise. His voice is calm but heavy with meaning. This cup is poured out for many. The words strike the air with the weight of destiny. It is no ordinary cup. It is the vessel of sacrifice, lifted in silence before a storming world. The disciples lean closer, their bodies tense. No face can be seen, but the movements speak louder than expressions ever could. A hand grips the cup too tightly, knuckles pale in the glow. Another hand recoils, hesitant to touch what it does not yet understand. The audience feels the distance growing between them, the bond unraveling one thread at a time. The storm outside surges, lightning flooding the room in sudden brilliance. For a moment, all shadows stretch longer, and in that flash, the truth seems closer, though still unnamed. The wine shimmers like fire, the bread lies broken like a wound, and the table itself groans under the weight of secrets it cannot hold. A pause follows, a silence that feels unnatural. The storm quiets for a heartbeat, as though the heavens themselves lean closer to listen. The leader speaks again, his words softer, but more piercing than thunder. "The hand of him who will betray me is with mine on this table." The camera closes in on the table, where hands rest close together, trembling, uncertain, guilty. The silence after his words is worse than the storm. It presses in, stealing the air from the room. The disciples are faceless, but their movements reveal the fear in their soul's fists clench. Shoulders stiffen, one shadow shrinks lower, as though trying to disappear into itself. The audience cannot see who it is, and that is the terror. It could be anyone. The screen darkens once more, and the sound of the storm returns. Louder, wilder, as though the world outside rages in response. Beneath it all, a new sound rises, the slow, heavy beat of a heart, relentless, pulling the audience deeper into the storm within. The storm presses harder now, shaking the walls as if creation itself senses the shift. Inside, the air is torn between loyalty and betrayal, but one shadow moves with a quiet certainty. While the others wrestle with questions, one figure grows still, almost detached, as if a choice has already been made. The table glows faintly in the candlelight, but this shadow leans back from it, slipping further into the dark corners of the room. The camera follows slowly, never revealing a face. Ow. Only the outline of shoulders hunched in thought, hands trembling yet purposeful. The faint rattle of coins echoes not yet seen, but somehow felt. Each sound is a whisper of greed, a whisper of betrayal, echoing louder than the storm outside. The audience does not need to see the silver to know it waits. Heavy, binding, impossible to return. The teacher's voice cuts through the air, calm but unshakable. What you are about to do quickly. The words are not shouted, they do not accuse. They release. For a moment, silence grips the table again. The disciples shift in unease, hands twitching as if to reach out, to hold back whoever it might be. Yet no one rises. Fear holds them bound to their seats. The betrayer stands. The movement is quiet, but the sound of the chair scraping wood feels louder than thunder. Shadows ripple as the figure passes by the table, the candlelight trembling with the disturbance. The camera lingers on the bread and wine left behind, untouched by the one who walks away. The storm howls, the door creaks open, and the shadow disappears into the night. The silence that follows is crushing. The disciples remain faceless, but their bodies betray their hearts. One leans forward, as if to chase after the figure. Another slams a hand against the table, unable to accept what has just happened. The teacher does not move. His shadow remains steady, hands still resting on the table, eyes unseen yet fixed with sorrow. The betrayal has begun, but the night is not finished. The screen darkens. This time the sound of coins finally drops, sharp, metallic, undeniable. They scatter across stone, ringing out like the toll of a bell. With each echo, the audience feels the weight of what cannot be undone. The door closes behind the betrayer, and the storm outside swallows him whole. Inside, the room does not return to peace. Instead, it becomes heavier, as though the very air bends under the weight of destiny. The table no longer feels like a place of supper, it feels like an altar. Every shadow, every flicker of candlelight, every breath carries meaning too vast for the moment, yet too sharp to ignore. The camera glides across the wood. Bread lies broken in uneven pieces, as if torn not just by hands, but by fate itself. The cup sits half-filled, its surface trembling with each rumble of thunder. A hand reaches for it, not in haste, but in reverence, as though it holds the essence of eternity. The teacher's silhouette lifts the cup again, his voice calm, firm, yet marked with sorrow. "This is my blood of the covenant, poured out for many." The words hang in the air like prophecy. They do not explain. They declare. The disciples shift in silence, their faceless forms caught between fear and awe. One hand rises slowly, as if drawn by unseen power to take the cup. Another lingers back, hesitant, caught between faith and doubt. No words are spoken, but the silence speaks volumes. Each man is making a choice in his heart. Even if his lips never utter it, the storm cracks lightning across the sky. For a flash, the room is revealed in a burst of white light. Bread, wine, shadows, trembling hands, it all burns into the eyes of the audience like an image they will never forget. Then darkness returns, deeper, heavier. The silence of the room is pierced only by the steady rhythm of breathing, as though the walls themselves are alive. Holding the weight of prophecy within them, The camera narrows in on the teacher's hands as he lowers the cup. They do not shake. They are steady, even as the world around him trembles. His voice rises again, softer this time, yet cutting deeper than any storm. Do this, in remembrance of me. The words are not just instructions. They are legacy. They are farewell. They are the seed of a future that none of them yet understand. A disciple's shadow lowers his head, shoulders sinking under the burden of realization. Another grips the table as if to anchor himself from the flood of truth pressing in. The meal continues, but it is no longer supper. It is sacrifice made visible, a prophecy lived before their eyes. The bread and wine are not just symbols, they are destiny. And destiny has already begun to unfold. The screen fades, leaving only the sound of the storm and the faintest echo of his words repeating, in remembrance of me. The storm outside roars like a wild beast, rattling the walls as if heaven itself mourns what is to come. Inside, the room has changed. The table is no longer a place of fellowship. It has become a battlefield of the soul. The disciples sit faceless, but their shadows tell everything. Shoulders slump under the weight of unspoken grief. Hands curl tightly as though holding back tears. Every movement is heavy, burdened, final. The camera lingers on the breadcrumbs scattered across the wood. They glow faintly in the candlelight, fragile and broken, like fragments of innocence lost. The wine, once a drink of celebration, now sits untouched in half-filled cups, its red hue reflecting sorrow. The silence stretches until it aches, and in that silence, the storm outside sounds louder, like creation groaning with the disciples themselves. The teacher's shadow leans forward. His voice, soft yet piercing, cuts through the grief. Little children, I will be with you only a little longer. The words strike like a blade cloaked in tenderness. They are not accusation, not command, but farewell. The disciples stir, their outlines shifting with unease. One lowers his head, as if hiding from the truth. Another grips the table as though refusing to let go. No faces are seen, but the shadows tremble with sorrow. The camera turns toward the window. Lightning flashes, and for a heartbeat. The disciples are lit in stark, brilliant silhouettes, frozen in grief, their hands clenched, their bodies bent with loss. When the light fades, they remain in darkness, a darkness deeper than the storm outside. The truth has settled on them, heavy and immovable. The end is near. One voice rises from the silence, trembling, almost breaking. Lord, where are you going? The question echoes in the chamber, fragile and desperate. The answer comes steady, sure, yet drenched in sorrow. Where I am going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later. The words carve a wound deeper than betrayal. Deeper than fear, they carve hope into grief, though hope they cannot yet see. The storm outside crashes louder, but inside, the room grows still. The disciples do not move. Their hearts are breaking, but their teacher remains calm, steady, unshaken. His presence fills the space like a light unseen, keeping them together even as the world begins to tear apart. The screen darkens, but before it fades completely. The sound of his voice lingers, softer now. Carrying both pain and promise, do not let your hearts be troubled. The storm reaches its peak, thunder striking like war drums across the sky. Inside, the room is hushed, as if the storm has drawn all sound into itself. The disciples sit in silence, faceless but heavy with grief, shadows carved deep into the walls by trembling candlelight. The table is a battlefield now left in ruins, bread broken, wine spilled, hearts torn. Every moment feels stretched, as though time itself hesitates on the edge of eternity. The teacher rises slowly, his silhouette tall and unshaken. His shadow falls across the table, stretching over the broken bread and trembling hands of his followers. He speaks, not in command, but in prayer. Words not to men, but to heaven. The camera does not reveal the words in full, only fragments carried on the storm. Father, glorify your name. Your will be done. Each phrase is steady, each one filled with surrender. His prayer is not for escape, but for strength to endure what must come. The camera lingers on the disciples. One leans forward, fists pressed against the table, shoulders shaking as though trying to hold back tears. Another tilts his head down, arms folded tight, shadows trembling with fear. Their silence is louder than words. They know their teacher is walking into something greater than any of them can bear, yet they cannot follow. Not yet then, silence. The storm outside halts for a heartbeat as though the world itself listens. A door creaks open in the distance, and through it, faint torchlight flickers. Shadows move beyond the threshold, growing larger. Closer, soldiers. The sound of armored steps begins to echo through the night. Rhythmic, relentless, inescapable, the camera cuts back to the teacher's silhouette. His head lowers slightly, as if bowing not to men, but to the destiny already set before him. His voice whispers, almost drowned by the footsteps, "Rise, let us go. The hour has come." The disciples stir, rising one by one, their faceless outlines forming a circle of shadows around their leader. Together, they step away from the table that has held their Last Supper. The candle flames flicker violently as the door opens wider. The glow of torches spilling into the darkness. The screen cuts to black. The storm crashes one final time. The sound of silver coins scattering across stone pierces the silence. Echoing like the tolling of fate, a whisper breaks through the dark, the same voice from the beginning. One table, one final night, one choice that will change eternity. The title appears. Burning into the darkness, The Chosen, Last Supper official trailer, the screen fades, leaving only the sound of bread breaking sharp, final, unforgettable.